Do that now. Here we go. So I'm just going to say a word of welcome, and as I'm welcoming you, since I'm the author of this program, but I'm first going to hand it over to Stuart just to say a few words. Stuart, are you there? There you
okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first ever virtual town hall. I can tell you that we've never had that before. I'm very happy to see that we have at least 69 screens on tonight, which I think shows the keen interest and I hope the enthusiasm of Temple members for the high holiday plans that we will be discussing tonight. If you're not enthusiastic yet, I think after you hear Rabbi Malamit's presentation tonight, you will be enthusiastic. Now, I'm sure you all read Rabbi Malamit's letter that came about a week ago discussing the High Holy Days. And I just want to highlight 2 points of that letter. The first one is obviously that the high holiday services will have to be different this year due to the pandemic. The large communal experiences we are used to will be replaced with small home and in-person gatherings. As you will hear tonight, Rabbi Malamit and Cantor Weiss, with help from others, have worked very hard to develop a wide variety of tools to allow all of us to get a greater understanding of the services. And I think we will all grow spiritually, emotionally, and intellectually. We have no choice but to look at this year as an opportunity. This is an opportunity. We cannot look at it as a year to forget. It is an opportunity. Second, as noted in Rabbi Malamit's letter, there is a financial component to the HPCT-CAE at-home program. That's a mouthful. Simply put, we have always structured our temple finances where about 10% of our revenues do come from the high holy day seats. Obviously, we cannot actually sell the seats this year, but we still need your financial assistance to retain the financial strength of the temple and also support and cover the costs of the program itself. As noted in Rabbi Malamit's letter, we ask that you choose a gift level that is meaningful to you, and we hope at least consistent with the support you provided in the past during the high holy days. I am happy to report that we've already received several very generous donations, and we hope that continues. And on behalf of the entire temple leadership, I want to thank you in advance for all your generosity. So how are we going to move ahead tonight? The way we're going to structure is Rabbi Malamit, I think, is going to give a presentation. We will then follow up with questions. Like the annual meeting, we will, Rabbi will, of course, will mute everyone at first. And what we would like you to do, again, is to use the chat function at the bottom of the screen and type out your questions. And we'll try to capture those questions verbally and ask Rabbi Malamit to respond. Rabbi, do you have anything else to add to that as we get started?
No, thank you. I think, ready?
Thank you.
Okay, here we go. So shalom, everyone. It's great to see everybody here. And thank you very, very much for being here. It's a Sunday night. It's the middle of the summer. The last thing we want to be doing is thinking about the high holidays, but they're 54 days away. Rosh Hashanah is 54 days away, last I checked, which is just like Sfirat HaOmer, and 49 days from Passover to Shavuot. So we can almost count that it's almost a week more than that. But this is really important. This is an important project that we are undertaking. And I'm very, very glad that you're here. It's ambitious. And I know that there is a lot of apprehension about it because I am actually making a very strong ask of people. And it's not a financial ask, although there is an element of that. It's the time and commitment and energy ask of people. It's an ask of people to learn something and to do something that they are not regularly habituated in doing especially prior to the holidays. I think that that means that this, rather than a crisis of disruption, is an opportunity, as Stuart mentioned, and I thank him for highlighting that theme. I'm going to look at a couple of items, how I want to organize the services, and I'm going to show you some material that I'm working on and show you how to access it. I'm going to talk about the way that we're going to instruct people and some preliminary scheduling. I'm going to also highlight or touch upon some other aspects of the program, and then we'll open it up to some questions, and I have some interesting suggestions also. So let me get right into it. We are talking about organizing the services and organizing them differently. Now, I've been the rabbi here for, it's over 25 years now, believe it or not, and I've noticed patterns of behavior on Rosh Hashanah. First of all, I'm saying this with a smile and tongue-in-cheek, and that there are people that we don't see throughout the year, and they do appear only on Rosh Hashanah. Some would refer to them as religious specialists. I think that however they identify themselves, clearly it's important for them to be at Rosh Hashanah, in addition to the fact that there are people there that come regularly, come once in a while. So I think that it's possible to understand the habits of Rosh Hashanah attendance in terms of some basic brackets of time. There are people who come for a shorter period of time. There are people who come for a longer period of time, and people who come for more or less the entire service. The question I kept asking myself is, what's the amount of time that a home service can claim? What is the maximum, or what is the basic bracket of time that you'll be able to do something? And then after establishing what that time frame is, how can we provide a program for that amount of time that is meaningful, spiritual, that has the content and has directed in the way that I think the holidays demand? So here I'm using experience that is over 30 years of camping experience, a Rosh Edah, and having been staff on many, many different levels, and thinking about how you program time, my Ramah experience, which is so valuable to me, how to structure this time. I have three categories of time. I think that there are people who more or less spend about 90 minutes in shul on any given day. And don't have to go into in detail, there's no judgment here. There are people who come, let's say, at 11 and leave at 12:30. That's about 90 minutes of time. And during that time, there's a sermon, there's some Torah reading, there's a bit of the service, and after that, politely, nicely, they're done. They have other things to do. And there are people who spend, I think, just a little more time, about 2 hours, 120 minutes. And then there's a third category of people that spend about 2.5 to 3 hours during the whole service. When you think about it, people who come at 10:30 and leave at 1:30, that's a good chunk of time. Not all that time is active. Certainly in the synagogue, it's mostly passive or involved in either listening or involved or singing. So I've thought about three categories, and luckily there are synonyms for the word temple in the Hebrew language. One of them is a mishkan, one of them is a ohel, and one of them is a heichal. So I'm going to share some material that I'm preparing and describe basically the introduction to these different kinds of services. I've given these services Hebrew names based on the familiar synonyms of the temple. They are Mishkan, dwelling place, Ohel, tent, Heichal, sanctuary. The Mishkan service is designed for those who would like the basic highlights of the service, the classic prayers, whose melodies are easy to sing, in the home setting, and incorporates more English readings from the Machzor, and more possibilities for shared participation. The service is the shortest duration of the three services and should last approximately an hour and a half in the home setting. 30 minutes of prayer, Shachari, followed by 30 minutes of Torah study, followed by 30 minutes of prayer, Musaf. The second, the Ohel service, is designed for people who would like more elements of the service than the highlights. It follows the Camp Ramah USY model, which incorporates the major prayers and omits others. It creates more opportunity for singing the familiar shul high holiday melodies, and has allotted more time for Torah study and discussion. This service should last approximately 2 hours, 40 minutes of prayer, followed by 50 minutes of Torah reading and discussion, followed by 30 minutes of prayer for Musaf. And then I call the third service the Heichal service. It's the complete service following the Machzor, and proceeds through the traditional service. It includes the classic prayers that could be sung in the home setting for Shachrit and Musaf prayers. And the suggested timing for this service is 45 minutes for Shachrit, 60 minutes for Torah, and 45 minutes of prayer. And here's a table that summarizes these services, okay? So again, we have, I'm saying, 3 broad categories of people. There are people who want a shorter service, the basics, people who are familiar but don't want to spend 3 hours or 2.5 hours, and there are people who, in fact, would like as much as possible, considering the circumstances of our time, which they would normally have been in shul for all of that time. So these services are all based on the machzor that we use in our shul, the Leiv Shalem machzor, which was donated by the Kaplan family. You may sign out as many machzors as you need from the shul office, and we are asking everyone to take proper care of them, not mark them up, and the pages, etc., and that you return them as soon as possible after the holidays. And you may also purchase your own machzor, and you can contact the office if you are interested. And there is a website also if you want to do this without the office. And we are going to make that a service available. We'd like, obviously, if people are interested, to let us know. We'll be sending out information about that, as soon as we can. And also, I have this. This is written out, and this will be sent out to people as part of the Rosh Hashanah kit. I'm also designing, in conjunction with people like Marlene Herman and Sherry Lerner, the Mishpacha service. It's designed for families with children and incorporates a range of participatory prayer experiences, stories, learning activities, and singing. And also, we're going to figure out that the duration of that is, probably an hour and a bit. We understand, what the limitations are of that. I just want to jump down to a sample schedule that I have. I'm showing it, it's in quite large print, unfortunately, but I have this for this is the Ohel, this is the middle of the 3. So I say to people, okay, I'm thinking like in the camp mode, get up, do something before the service. It's probably breakfast, but pray. If you're praying in this Ohel category from 9:45 to 10:25, that's 40 minutes of Shachrit. Take a break, and then study the Torah and the Haftorah reading. Read that. That's about 50 minutes. When you think about it, it's it's a sizable portion. Take another break, and then conclude with the Musaf. The total structured activity time minus the breaks is 2 hours. So you have a whole morning of activity there that is going to be based on the Machzor, which is what it's based on normally, right? So the only thing I can't provide for you is a whole building with 500 people in it. That's just not going to happen. But on these days, we're going to have these kinds of services, which will be structured in this way, okay? So you're all going to get a book that looks something like this, a coil. This is the Luach. It's I hope we'll be able to produce a book with easy to use that is going to have the instructions. I want to show you what that script is going to look like, okay? Just give me a second, and we'll share another screen here. And this is... There we go. So this is the guide to the Mishkan service. That's the 90-minute service. So I have a little intro. Welcome to the Mishkan prayer service. This is a service designed for people who would like to do the highlights of the Rosh Hashanah service. It includes opportunities to sing many of the familiar melodies and offers many English readings. There are also opportunities to meditate silently on the themes of Rosh Hashanah, examine valuable explanations, and other readings that the Machzor offers, commentaries and explanations on the right, etc., poetic readings on the left side. 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes. And so here I've added a script in the third column here, the page number, the name of the prayer, and the leader script. And this is basically someone in your group, whether it's one person, two persons, or as many people as you feel comfortable with. And we talked about that at my presentation at the AGM, the annual general meeting. Our vulnerable spot in this plan is that we can't do the groupings for people because everybody has a different threshold of risk and everybody has a different set of circumstances. So in a way, we're leaving it up to people to feel what and who they can be with. So these are the scripts. And the interesting thing about this script is that in this third column, this last empty column, we're placing all the recordings for the different prayers. We have some of them already, but I'm going to just point to this. We'll do this. I'm going to click here and look what we get here.
בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה ניזכר וניכתב לפניך אנחנו בכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ולשלום.
So this is, thank you, Cantor Michael Weiss, our cantor, recorded that. We have 20 of those tracks already on our list. The list is called HPCT-CAE at Home. I'm going to show you what it looks like. These are the different tracks. We have Zochreinu here, Vayetayu. Let's just hear a little bit of this because we love this one. How about this one?
האוחז ביד מידת משפט וכל מאמינים שהוא אל אמונה.
Or this one.
ותשובה ותפילה
וצדקה. This is me here. Oh, no, this is Mike. And of course.
ארשת שפתינו ירוב לפניך אל רם ונישא.
And this one, of course.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Okay, we're going to.
Shalom.
That's my part today. I don't know. Sometimes when we listen to this, I feel very joyful, but I also feel very emotional, as many of you do. I've already heard from a couple of people who said the same thing. It's obviously not the same, and the music is just so much a part of our celebration, and it evokes so much for us. What I'm trying to explain to everybody and to underscore is you know all of these melodies. You know them. You know them. You know them off by heart. And all that I'm doing here is helping you to access them and to script the access to them in such a usable way. These melodies should not intimidate anyone. Of course, there's much more extravagant elements to the service, but these are so accessible to us. And what we've done, and I just want to show you again on the other screen, what we've done for the script here is, so this this is relying on people to prepare, to spend some time. You notice that each of those recordings were no longer than a minute. You could literally click the playlist and do your dishes. Okay, you can click the playlist and be on your walk. You can click the playlist and do your cooking or whatever you need to be doing. I mean, I obviously take, the prayers seriously, but the point is that you can be refreshing yourselves of these melodies the way that you access a lot of it. All you need to know to do is to press the link. That's all you need to know. That's when it's presented online. When you're going to get the book, it'll have it written out. The other thing that we're going to do, we have a few of these a few of these videos. We're putting up the videos of these on Vimeo, and we're going to make that accessible. In addition, my goal is, in addition to having every single one of these, Avinu Malkeinu, we have that up here, this one here, all of these different prayers recorded and accessible. We're going to record the whole service from start to finish so that you will be able to watch it and pace it and access it, and we'll put what timing, what timestamp is on the different prayers. And quite honestly, many of you have asked me, what if I don't want, am I able to access this at any time, including Yom Tov? And the answer is yes. If you are someone who uses technology and you want to use it, this is available to you and you can use that. And that way, you will at least have some assistance in doing this. Okay, so the whole idea is to provide this kind of scripted material. This is the Mishkan script. I'm not going to show you the other ones. I have them written too, but they're not set up with the links yet. And this is how the whole service goes. So you can see on page 143, we have the Unatana Tok of prayer, which is one of the most important prayers. So the leader is going to say this. We'll recite the first two paragraphs in English and then sing the traditional melody. And that is linked here on the Barosh Hashanah. Here, Adam Yusodo. Let's just have one more nice melody here.
Adam, Yesodo me'afar, v'sofo le'afar, v'sofo le'afar.
So we're so lucky to have this ability. I mean, this is remarkable. I mean, I can't think about the time when, I remember there are some people here who learned their bar mitzvah and bat mitzvahs off of a record. Some of us learned it off of, cassettes or reels, okay? It's just unbelievable. You can take your phone and click and you're learning this wherever you are. This material is going to be available to you. It's going to be available online. It's going to be available on our website. I'm going to show you the website so that you can see that. I'll share that in a second. Here we go. Back to this. Our website looks as follows. Sorry. This is our website. You see that at the HPCT-CAE.org page, you have a tab that says the High Holidays. Okay, when you click that, you go directly to the playlist. So you can get it from the website. You can get it from the material that we get. You get it directly from SoundCloud. There's no excuse for you not to get it. Okay, that's the music material. So obviously we have to review. Obviously we have to spend time studying and learning and thinking and refreshing this. So preparation is going to be crucial. The pandemic has been so disruptive to our lives, but it's also opened up the possibilities for learning. There's so many people here among the 85 units that are on here have already taken advantage of the learning that we've provided and the different lectures and different amazing material in the Jewish world. It's been an explosion of material, and I urge you this week, Thursday, we have a special guest appearance, 10 o'clock in the morning, with Moshe Gold, Exploring Jerusalem. These are fantastic. He is literally the best guide in Israel. We are very privileged to have him take us on a tour and discuss Jerusalem, the Khurban, the destruction, and the Renaissance of Jerusalem. Look, the key to making this happen is to prepare. Don't wait until the last minute. Use the online resources. Use the Machzor. You have to look at the book. The one thing that I am asking everyone to do is open the book. Don't wait. Open the book. The book is a rich resource. There's so many different readings and materials in there. Everything is so it takes you by the hand. Study yourself, study with us. And there are lots of different things to do. We are going to have our classes start exactly next Sunday, 1 week from today. And I'm going to show you now the schedule of our classes and the different things that we're going to talk about in these classes. The first thing that we're going to do Monday, a week from tomorrow, it's going to be they're the same class, one during the day and one in the evening. There'll be 1 hour classes, and this is the basic curriculum. We're going to talk about the centerpiece. It's the key core prayer. If we get this down, you get everything down. It's the prayer with Rosh Hashanah. It's the major thematic payload of the whole high holidays. If there's only one prayer you need to know for the high holidays, this is it. We're going to tee it up first so that it's part of everybody's knowledge, okay? And the thing is, you know it already. Those of you who have been around a little bit have done this many dozens of times. You've read it, you've studied it, you've thought about it, you've meditated about it, you've sung Leonard Cohen to it. You know this prayer. We're going to go in a little depth. Cantor Weiss is going to help us learn how to sing the key parts, how to break it up into its different units, Kama Yavru, Nikama Yibarem, etc. It's going to take a little bit of effort, but it's all achievable. The second class, we're going to have fun with our top 10 High Holy Day melodies that you know these. You know them all. You know them all. All they need to do is have them in front of you. We're going to help you recite the Amidas. We're going to put together your Musafs. We're going to give you the top 10 melodies that you know from Yom Kippur. Aneshamalach, or Kianu Amechad, everything. Kol Nidre, your way. We can do this, okay? Don't be intimidated by this. It's there. It's possible. We can put together the rest of the Yom Kippur. We have classes on that. I'm going to have a class on something personal, how to make reflections, how to write your own stuff, how to do creative alternatives so that you can add them to your service or add them as part of your own commemoration, and exploring the Torah and Haftarah readings. That's important. And then I also have the Rosh Hashanah Seder, which is at the end. So I got a note that my sharing was paused, but I hope everybody saw that. Everybody, okay. So now, in addition to the class, which is starting already a week from Monday, we are adding some programming, okay? And the whole idea of these programs is to enable some limited in-person activity. We have the ability to do that. We've already been in shul 3 weeks, 20 or so of us have been in person. We admit it's not the same, but we're there, okay? We can be outside in larger numbers. Whatever the number will be at the time of September, we will try and be at that maximum. And so therefore, we're planning the shofar blowing outside Sunday at 3 o'clock. The second day of Yom Tov is shofar blowing. I've asked our mayor, Gabriel Midler, to allow us to be on 3rd Avenue in front of the shul. we could probably get 100 people social distancing, or maybe 200 people to be social distanced on the front of the shul, and we'll even let you go on the lawn, okay? And we can blow the shofar. We'll be there together to blow the shofar, and we'll have a lovely, amazing opportunity to be together. Everyone's gonna have to wear a mask. Everyone's gonna have to stand social distance. It'll be outside, and we're gonna do it rain or shine, because there's too much at stake, okay? The other thing that's going on is, I since I thought about the plan, we had a whole idea how emotional Yizkor is and how important it is to have Yizkor. But we can't have Yizkor on Yom Kippur the same way. So we're going to take a play out of the old playbook, and we're going to go to the cemetery. The Sunday before Yom Kippur, Erev Yom Kippur, we're going to have two gatherings, two cemetery gatherings, one at Mount Lebanon and one at Beth Israel. I'm going to say 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock respectively. And we're going to have our Yizkor service there. Even thinking about it, I get emotional to think about the fact that here we are, we're going to be a congregation, the living congregation with our departed congregants, and an embrace of eternity, and an embrace of nothing more than the power of memory. I think that this is going to be hopefully a tradition that will continue from this year on, that we'll be able to do this as many congregations do. And this way we will say the Yizkor, say the memorial prayer in a powerful way that involves being together. It's not going to be on the day of Yom Kippur, but I guarantee it will be just as powerful, if not more. That's Erev Yom Kippur. I've also been thinking, given the last 3 weeks of being together and looking at and how we can use the inside space of the synagogue for smaller services on those days. And we do have smaller services on those days. The evening service is a small service. Very few people come to the evening service. Very few people come to the afternoon and evening service of the first day of Rosh Hashanah and the second day of Rosh Hashanah. We now can have 25 people in the sanctuary. I'm assuming that it's at least 25 people. I'm going to say plus an amount that needs to be determined. But we can certainly have safely an amount of people in the entire center for a short duration of time, namely an hour to an hour and a half, and be there and be present there, okay? That's going to be first day, second day, and also we hope to have Nila as well. There are other things that I'm working on. I'd like to bring a cellist to play Kol Nidre the week before Yom Kippur, and other things. But here is, I think, a place where we can pause, and I'm going to open it up for some questions. I'm going to let Stuart and Linda moderate this for us.
Just to remind you to use the chat function to write in your questions, then Stu will call out the questions, I think.
I'll try. Anybody? David Brahman has raised his hand. Can you type it out? Oh, okay. Joy is asking, let me see. All right. Question was asked whether we get a CD of the melodies.
CD is old technology already.
Maybe we could develop an app. Does anybody have the capability?
We can do, you know what? Everything is possible. We can put it on a flash drive also. It's just one more thing. I mean, obviously that's something that we'll get assistance for. It's really not that hard. I mean, I don't even have a CD drive on my computer, so.
Yeah. Question about how do we handle prayers that require a minyan?
So this is a very good question. It's a question that is, halachic in nature, in the sense that, there are certain things like the kedusha that you must say in a minyan. And I'm saying that we can have a little bit of latitude here. Not that we need to do the kedusha, but there's nothing wrong or there's nothing unacceptable about singing the major prayers of the Musaf. I mean, after all, we do that to practice it, some of us play this music, during the weeks before Rosh Hashanah to get ourselves in the mood. So these are cantorial musical gems. And I think if the goal is to get ourselves into the emotional, spiritual place that this music and only this music can do, let's do it. Yes, you can recite things. There are certain things that you can't recite. They're all in the script. You don't recite the Kedusha. You know, I'm making a certain exception for the Kaddish Shalem. It's like, Yitkadav, Yitkadav. You know, that's a very beautiful melody. You can get by without saying the Yitkadal part. I mean, it's at a certain point, you know, you have to say, listen, we're going to enjoy the music of it and suspend the certain strictures of the around it vis-a-vis the minyan. But I think that everything is doable. Look, we are operating to a certain extent. Many of us, you know, until we gradually opened up, we all did our prayers without a minyan. So,
question about whether the home service is available to all. Do you have to log into the site?
So the answer is we're going to make it as accessible as possible. We're not right now. The sharing on the SoundCloud is quote in the private. You know, that gets changed very quickly. That's just a quick button, and it's going to be as easily accessible as possible. And Mike, let me open up for Mike. Mike Weiss here, just a second, and I'm going to co-host you, Mike. Go ahead, Mike Weiss, you there?
Yeah, hi. I want to respond to Sarah Goodman's question, which is a very, very important question, which is how do you learn to carry a tune by Rosh Hashanah? And this is something that I've dealt with many, many people over the years. The feeling that people they don't want anybody else to hear their voice. They, to some extent, can't stand hearing their own voices, and because they think they don't have a voice, so they think they can't sing. And here's what I want to say to you. It doesn't matter if you think you sound good or not. What matters is that you use your voice. And if it sounds kind of like, if you approximate it, that's great. If you can't approximate what you hear on the recording, that's also great. What matters is that you just make an oral commitment to saying the prayers, and however they come out is okay.
All right.
Thank you. There are a number of questions about Yizkor. First of all, about folks who do not have family members buried at the cemeteries. I know we also want to include South River, obviously.
Yes. So we need to figure out the timing for that. That shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, we'll figure out. Also asked whether there'll be a Yizkor service not at a cemetery.
So what we had originally thought of, and I know that I see that Susan Slusky also asked the question about the Kol Nidre. We're going to do something online as well. I mentioned that the Kol Nidre is in the classes because we'll do something online pre the holiday, pre Yom Kippur, to have everyone together. We'll say a Yizkor service at that time, recite the Kol Nidre, and then come off right before candlelighting. That will also happen. Yes.
Okay, you froze there for a second.
Sorry. We're going to do the Kol Nidre service also online pre the Yontiv. We'll have the Yizkor pre the Yontiv in the late afternoon. We'll have Kol Nidre, and then we will be concluded before candlelighting. And at that point, people will be able to do their own Mariv services as well at home.
Question about social distancing at the cemeteries. I'm sure we'll make sure that there should be adequate room.
Yeah, the benefit of a cemetery is that you can stand far apart. Although, you know, I just had an experience where you know it does need to be strictly enforced. Yes.
Question asked about whether we might consider smaller services like Mariv outdoors.
So. It's something that I think that we can consider. You know, having the capability of the capacity indoors, it makes the indoor just that more accessible to us. I'm trying to understand that the question is probably based on the idea of maybe not wanting to be indoors. You know, we're going to have our first outdoor service this week at Tisha B'Av at evening. And I think that that's something that we can definitely consider. The whole idea of in-person gatherings for those services is new. It's I've been developing over the last week. I think this is a good question to keep refining that idea.
Questions asked about organizing the children's program leaders. I think you could have a discussion with Sherry and Marlene about that.
Right. So
When
part
we
of
get
this
that
is
organized.
to present what I'm calling mishpacha services. I know that I've spoken to Marlene, to Sherry, but I know that they're thinking, I have some ideas as well. We're going to provide a lot of material for that, and that's also going to be both in print, online, and every way.
Okay, question asked about the cost of the Moxor if you wanted to purchase it for your home.
So the Moxor is available for $29.40 until August the 20th. The regular price is $49. I know Sheldon has done some thinking about the Moxor, and so has Linda. We are thinking of getting a case or two of Moxors at 12 books, maybe 24 of them, and there's shipping, etc. added on to that. If you are definitely interested in purchasing a Moxor, let us know. Send us an email, send Linda an email, and we will collect all those names and put together an order.
Rabbi, I had asked that question. It says it's $29.40, but there is a discount available for RA members. So I'm thinking it might be.
No, that's the
discount.
I checked. Confusing the way it reads. That is the discounted price. But if we do a group order, they can do 12 in a box, and it's one flat rate shipping. Because it's the same price whether there's 5 or 12 in the box. So we'll save some money on shipping that way for everybody.
Okay, now question for, was on mic. Do you see that question from David Goldfarb? Are you planning a Nusach class tutorial?
Well, Rabbi, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we are going to be doing that as part of the classes that we're going to be.
So we're definitely going to cover Nusach. It's obviously not going to be at the getting a certification for it. We're going to give you the basic elements.
Quite a bit of time to learn all that. So.
Exactly. However, I'm glad you mentioned it, David, because I can share this site and you're familiar with it. This is the Joey Weisenberg. This is a fellow we know from Hadar. He has a whole website devoted to learning all the different things in a much more substantial depth than we are going to present. This is more geared for people who are themselves going to be, full chazanim for, I guess, smaller services. He has it on the website. It's a very reasonable cost. I reached out to them and they said to us, if we got 10 people together who wanted to take his classes, they would do something special for us. As I said, it's $18 a month to sign in for Joy Weisenberg's online class. I have a lot of faith in our chazan, beautiful chazan. You get more than just the melodies with our chazan. You get a lot of neshama as well. So there's something wonderful about learning with people that we know.
Okay, question, will there be a sermon? But nobody asked whether there'll be a presidential speech, but that's okay. So will there be a sermon?
I'm so touched that that question is asked. It just validates that that's an important part of the holiday. Let me be very honest and say that, of course, there will be some kind of message to the congregation in some way. The real question I've been, meditating on during my walks and bike rides is, are people going to sit through a recording of that, or are they going to slog through, 1,500 to 2,000 words of an essay? And the answer is most people do not. Most people do not, have the patience to read that kind of thing. Although, I think I can hold my own next to a few, but it's got to be really good to do that. And I think there are other ways to convey messages that will captivate people. In fact, one of them is to write commentaries that are accessible to people. And this is something that I'm in the process of doing. I will share some of that with you as well. And we'll just go back to the Google here. Press the wrong button. And that is, so the Rosh Hashanah commentaries. These are commentaries that I'm writing that will give lots of discussion. Sarah, there's no love lost between Sarah and Hagar. They've already had one row, which resulted in Hagar being ejected from the house. The derision is subtle. The child is not named. Ben Hagar Mitzrit, etc., etc. So you can spend some time reading my comments, and you'll get some insight. And I'll put together some discussion questions. That's one way of doing it. There'll be other kinds of material that will be there. That's a promise that I'm hoping to fulfill, so that you'll have ample resources to discuss some things very, very nicely. In addition, there's tons of material out there that is worthy of discussion. Let me give you one more thing that I just discovered today. In fact, this is a symposium at the Forward, which is a very valuable symposium, and it is on the subject that we are all talking about, the cancel culture. Here's an article that you can spend at least a half an hour on. Nobody canceled Shammai. Our tradition demands we respect the argument. Debate is a Jewish sacrament. David Wolpe. This is about a 400-word article that is really substantial. And the Talmud, God admits he's wrong. There's a lesson there about free speech. So, one of the things that I'm going to do is collate things like that and present them to you. And these are discussion pieces. This is something that you can do if prayer is not your thing. And I understand that prayer is not everybody's thing. And this is something that you can look at over a meal. You'll have, at least 2 lunches and 2 evening meals. Let's hope that you can be together with the closest people that you love, notwithstanding, the fears of a second spike at this point. Next question.
Are there any plans for outdoor services for our young children?
At this moment, no. But it's something that obviously we can deal with. We can think about it.
A related question about indoor services. What are our age restrictions, if any?
We are not restricting anybody from being in the synagogue. We are following the guidelines that have been given to us, and we are allowing everybody to make their own decisions. We are not saying to people, do not come. We're saying, certainly do not come if you don't feel well, and that's just obvious. We're not taking temperatures, we're not taking medical questionnaires, and we're not making you sign a waiver. We're trusting that you are able to make your decisions and to figure out what you can and cannot risk, and we leave it there.
For Minyan and Shabbat services, we have asked for 13-year-olds and over, because there's nothing, has to be somebody who's going to be able to sit the hour and a half in the shul with the mask on. There's no other supervision in the building. So that's why there's been restrictions during evening minyan and Shabbat services. And because the numbers are restricted as far as how many we have in the building.
And we did say, Linda, correct me, you did say 13, right? Age 13?
Yeah, 12 or 13, pending for mitzvah, b'nai mitzvah.
Okay.
A question that I think has already been addressed previously. What happens if things get better as we get closer to September and we can meet in larger numbers?
Halavai.
Halavai, right. Let's hope for that. How will Ne'ilah be handled?
It's a great question, and something that again I've thought about over the last few days. Given that we are able to have some presence in the shul, again, what that maximum number is, I would say a possibility is to have an in-person Neila up to that number. And Neila is one of those services that duration is between 45 minutes to an hour. We are at the maximum threshold of the time that we really should be inside. And I think that that's doable. Again, it requires a pre-registration. We'll be strict about it because we have to. Would that mean that there would be if we have over-registration for Neila, will we do something outside? Again, that's a possibility. Thank God we have, the ability to do something like that. I can't make any commitments now. That's a direction that we're going in. I do want to have some kind of in-person presence for Neila, and to also be able, once Yontiv is over, to flip open the laptop and to do the concluding ceremony on Zoom with the blowing of the shofar and the Abdallah. That is something I can certainly foresee.
What the current plans are for that, and questions asked whether there's any consideration to getting a tent for outdoor services.
Say that again. I missed the first part, please.
About Tashlich, plans for Tashlich.
Thank you. So Tashlich, already in the first iteration of this plan at the AGM, I mentioned that we'd have several Tashlichs. And the reason for that is because you don't have to do Tashlich on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. And frankly, under the circumstances here, I prefer not to do it on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, since we're going to be planning to have a large gathering, social distance, to blow the shofar. That being said, I was very ambitious. I put like 9 Tashlichs, thinking that you could only get 20 people together. Well, under the current rules, you can get, I think, over 100, maybe even 200 people together. So that means that we don't need 9. We can use maybe 2 or 3. And those we will put on the schedule between the end of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We will most likely do them at Donaldson Park. We'll have accessible times. We'll do social distancing. We'll have a lovely Tashlich service where we can be together. We have to register in advance. We make it available to whatever the maximum is. And we won't do 9 of them, but we can certainly do 2 or 3 of them.
Okay. Question about using other open spaces in the temple, like the small chapel, the boardroom, I guess, for other services.
The answer is no. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that for a number of reasons. We do need to have a very strict control over the space for all the obvious reasons. Logistically, I think it just becomes impossible. And again, there is an item of what's fair and equitable for people. It means that certain people will have access to it and certain people will not. I understand that having any in-person service will make that an issue, but I want to find the balance here. What can we do without making it extraordinarily complex? Next.
Another question regarding outdoor programs for children, but I think we've addressed that already. We'll address that further.
We'll definitely need it, yes.
Oops, I just lost. Somebody, no, that's, leave that one. What about, you mentioned about Torah services. What is the current plan for that, and what will that look like?
So I haven't changed that plan. We have a number of Torah services on a schedule already. Again, that's something that needs a little bit more engineering to organize, to elicit, respondents. We're learning certain things about the patterns of behavior right now, given the fact that we've opened up a little bit. We have evening services twice a week, once a week. As we kind of anticipated, the first 2 were well attended, but then it drops off. It's not simple. The decision making that people go through to want to come into the building is complicated for many. We have to respect and understand that. The real question is what's the how many of these should we create, and who should we really be trying to, make sure that, or strongly urge to come? I think these are very, very complicated questions. So we're still going to have them. I hope that we'll have, several of them. We'll see how the enrollments for them go. We'll make the schedule available when it's ready.
Rabbi, you back?
Yep.
You froze. You keep
froze.
freezing.
Yeah.
Not your fault. A number of questions are asked about doing outdoor services, outdoor ne'ilah, and also the possible use of a tent, either in the parking lot or in the park. What is your reaction to that?
I'm thinking we're not thinking in those directions. That really has not been part of this consideration. Look, the whole idea of having an in-person ne'ilah is really quite a new idea for us. We're going to leave it at that right now. I'm really not going to speculate. Having an outdoor service does entail the risk of weather. That's major. Having an indoor service entails the risk of over-enrollment. We need to have a lot of dexterity here in this plan. I personally am not in favor of getting a tent. I think it's a waste of money for the limited use that it will have, and definitely not in the park. That's just not even in the question. Next.
Let's see. I guess one last question about an outdoor option on Shabbos leading up to the High Holy Days.
Right. So this is a discussion. We are learning a lot here in and outside. So the outside services, as I said, entail certain kinds of risks. We've had 2 very hot Shabboses over the last 2 weeks. To plan an outdoor service where people have to bring their own chairs and their own, things, I just think it's just unwise. We have the indoor safe space under the circumstances. It's comfortable to the extent that it's possible. Are there possibilities for other kinds of things, get-togethers? Yes. Again, we are standing on a tightrope in terms of what is the risk and what is the reward and what is the thing that people will come to with and keep them safe at the same time. Thanks.
I think that captures all the questions. If I missed any, I apologize. That would be inadvertent. And certainly
I have one question. She asked a question about security. And yes, we'll have security when it's warranted for us to have security. We have standards that we have a policy regarding 50 people or more. So we will certainly have security for that and anything that we deem necessary for security.
Now you froze. So, okay.
I don't see any other questions except a comments of thank you, which I think are well-deserved. Rabbi, Cantor Weiss, Linda, and the entire office, and really everybody here tonight. Question about when people could pick up the mock source.
So we're going to get that information to people as soon as we can. We're still figuring out a system. I know Sheldon has done some had Sheldon think about this, and I think we're going to number the machzors. And this is a good segue to we can't do it all, by ourselves. Our office is fantastic. Linda, Beth, Diane, we're great. There will be some work here, which includes things like organizing the machzors. There will be people who may, for one reason or another, can't or may not be able to be coming to the temple. Maybe we should get someone to deliver their machzor. There are other aspects to this project that are, things that we will need some help with. For example, You saw in my letter that we plan to acknowledge and validate and thank people for their generosity and the support, understanding that there's no seats this year, but they are supporting the temple. It's a huge act of generosity, and we know that that's significant. In addition, material is going to cost something, not a lot of money, but certainly it's going to cost. We're going to need to put it together. I'm going to need people to help me proofread documents and proofread material that I put out, to help edit, maybe suggest a couple of things within the next several weeks. That's when, we have 54 days. I hope that we can provide this maybe, certainly a couple of weeks before the holidays. So we'll need some help. We'll need some help preparing the gifts that we want to do, which is both procuring them and also, packing them nicely and wrapping them and, and delivering them. That's the kind of thing. And lastly, I also think that there's the need to help people connect with each other. We're going to see, how people come to the classes online, and people, I think, will learn better in groups, and will just feel much more comfortable knowing that they are not in this alone, that they can share the learning with a partner or with groups and creating chavurot. This is not something that comes easy to us because we're all one big chavurah, but we might find that it's more effective to learn in smaller groups as opposed to being by ourselves. And everybody has suggestions, and as even I can say for myself, I've started thinking about this. I don't want to, literally from day one, from March, people who know this and seen this evolve have seen this evolve from the beginning of May. Only now, some synagogues are discovering that they have to do something different. I'm thankful that we were able to lay the groundwork of the thinking of this for a while now. But as I'm experiencing, I'm always coming up with new ideas, and you are too. And if you have ideas that you think are feasible, or interesting, or creative, let me know. Send me an email, give me a call. I'm happy to discuss. In addition, if you're shy about a question on this forum, I'm happy to answer questions in any other way. Stuart.
There are a number of questions. I want to wrap it up, but a number of questions about the classes. All that material will be sent out. And my understanding is it will be given twice a day and it will be recorded. Is that right,
correct,
Rabbi?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And you'll be getting more information about the Rosh Hashanah Seder and all these other materials. We are still a ways out from the holidays, but we're really planning early. And as Rabbi said, the programs will be tweaked. We welcome your ideas, and we welcome your participation on many levels. So I think that's pretty much it for this evening.
That's it. I just saw the Rosh Hashanah Seder. Yeah, I don't have the information for that now, but we're working on that. If someone, if people want to help with that, that's great. We're going to collaborate with a lot of colleagues on that, but I can certainly welcome input. If anybody wants to throw, different readings or different kinds of articles my way to compile, I'm happy to do that.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all. It's great.
And I hope you're a lot more, if you weren't before, enthusiastic about what's coming up. I think it's going to be very exciting, and we're all going to learn a lot.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you for everybody for all your suggestions. I already see a couple, and we'll see you soon. Okay.
Thank you, Rabbi.
I'm going to unmute everybody so we can all yell at everyone. Voice.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great work, Rabbi.
Don't be a stranger. Come to school.
Stay well.
Come sign up for the, sorry, one more thing. We need people, again, it's this tightrope of if you're available and you're willing to be at risk, in the sense that you're in the categories of the low risk, please sign up for the minions. We need you. Please sign up for Shabbos. We can use you. And certainly I want to see you often. Okay? And I'm unmuting you again.
Got your call, Rabbi.
All right. Lala Tov, everybody.
Lala Tov.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you so much.